This is your area day 1 video. So first thing we're going to do is check our homework assignment. So you can check this and the next one. On your own. You can check the answers to those. Feel free to stop when you need to. Okay, here we go. You need that page of notes out. There's your notes. Okay, starting off with multiplying decimals. So in order to find an area, we got to be able to multiply decimals, and also we need to remember that we are taking all of our notes down. Okay, when you're multiplying decimals, we're not lining them up. You line them up by their decimals when you're adding and subtracting. Now we're multiplying them. So you just line the numbers up. So that means you put the number with the most digits on the top, you put that number on top. Doesn't have to be the biggest, it has the most digits. Product is the first word we're going to deal with here. Product. I'm sure you know. I would like you to write that down first. Product's the answer to a multiplication problem. This guy, this is not a decimal point, it's not a period, this is none of those things. This is a symbol that we use in math, and this symbol can be used as multiplication. Okay, so it's same as we use the X for something like 5 times 8, we can use 5 times 8 like so. Those things mean the same thing, so that's something you need to get used to. This little dot means multiply. Notice that it's not a little dot like a period or a decimal point. It's bold, it's bigger than that. So if you see that, that just simply means to multiply. Okay, so if we're going to multiply these two numbers, so here's your decimal point, here's your multiplication sign, notice the difference. So I'm going to put, does it matter which one's on top? No, because they both have 2 digits. Does the bigger one have to be on top? No. Why did I put the 5.1 on the bottom? Because 1 is a real easy number to multiply by. So quick review of multiplying here. We're going to do 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 6 is 6. Then I'm putting a big old X there. I'm not putting a 0 there because people screw up the zeros. I am putting an X there because all that does is hold that place. What does it represent? Nothing. It's nothing. It's not a number. It represents nothing. It just holds a place. We're using that instead of using 0. You'll get used to it, trust me. So now we're going to multiply 5 because we're right underneath here. 5 times 2 we know is 10. We carry 1 up top. 5 times 6 is 30 plus 1 is 31. At this point we can add these up. So we have our 2 and nothing. 2 and 0 is 2. 6 and 0. And we really haven't done a whole lot here. So our answer is not 3,162 because we basically did 6 times 5. So it should be about 30. I have 2 decimal places. So I have a decimal place where the 2 is, and I have another one where the 1 is. That adds up to 2. So, what does this say? When finished with multiplication, we are, count the total number of places behind the decimal. Let me get this thing out of the way. So we count how many places there are. We just did that. There's 1, there's 2. So we start here and we move over 1, move over 2. Okay, we counted the decimal places. Here's 1, here's 2. So we start at the end, we go over 1, over 2. So we get 31, 62, or 31 and 62 hundredths. Okay, we all should be able to handle multiplying. Remember how to put the decimal in. 2 place values after the decimal, we go over 2. Very important that you know that. Okay, moving to what we're doing today. Area, here we go. Area is the inside. We did perimeter before, that was the distance around the outside. Area is all this stuff that's on the inside. So here's a shape, it's a rectangle, the area is the inside piece. So look, just let your eyeballs get a hold of that. We're measuring now the inside. The inside of everything. Okay, so if we label this, you'll hear me call this the base. It can also be called the length, so that's what you're used to. You're going to hear me call this the base, okay? And then this one over here, we've said this is the width, which is true. By the way, length and width is still true, but they can also be called base and height. Okay, and that's important. We're going to do a lot with height this year. Okay. Area has a formula. So it's very important you write this down. So you've stopped this video multiple times already, I hope. To find area, we have to multiply the base times the height. So we have to multiply the base times the height. Very important. You're going to see an abbreviation like this. This is a much more efficient way to use it. BH. And something to remember in math, when we smush things together like this, it means to multiply. Notice that there's a multiply here, right? Base times height. We're shortening this up. When things are right next to each other, that means to multiply. Could we also say length times width? Sure could. These two things in red, the reason they're bold and in red is because they're important. And either one of these will help us find area. We're showing that with a capital A. All right, so let's actually calculate this. So you're going to pause and you're going to write this down because these are the steps that will get us to figure this out. So the formula is base times height. If we substitute, so pay very close attention here. Substitute means, for example, if someone comes and takes my place, of course we know someone can't take my place. However, if someone comes and tries to do my job, they are substituting for me. They're in place of me. So look what we're doing. We're putting the 3 in place of the B because that's the base, right? We're putting the 2 in place of the H because that's the height. That's it. Okay? It's not super hard, but it is the most important word in 6th grade math right there. Substitute. Super, super, super important. Substitute. Make sure you know that one. All right, and we all know 3 times 2, that's about as simple as it gets. Notice the units here. This says feet squared or square feet. We could have written that as square feet. So I could have written this like this. This little 2 up here means square, and we'll talk more about that. But for right now, 6 square feet. Picture the tiles on the floors in school. Those are each a square foot. So what we're measuring here, if this is 6 square feet, we're talking about 6 of those tiles would fill up whatever this space is that we're dealing with. So here's your visual for that. Here's your visual as they fill in. So let's just look at that again. So I'm saying that the inside, the measure of the inside is 6 square feet. So take a look. I'm filling that in with 6 square feet. Now I know they look like rectangles. That was the best I could do. But there's 6 square feet that fill that up. That measures area, which is the inside. That's how we measure the inside. And we say it over here, it's always squared. It always has this little 2 floating up there. And we're going to spend a whole bunch of time talking about that. For now, make sure you label it square feet. As always, pause, rewind, do what you got to do. All right, so let's practice. So here's our visual. I want you to stop the video and try this one using the information that we just worked on here. So stop it at this point and try it. All right, so we're first going to write the formula, which is base times height. Next, we're going to do the most important thing, most important word in 6th grade math, which is substitute, right? I knew this was the base, so I put 12.6 for the base, and I knew the 5.8 was the height, so I plugged those 2 in. Then you got to multiply them. And let me just show you over here. Make sure yours looks like it ought to look. 6 times 8 is 48. 8 times 2 is 16. Plus 4 is 20. And 8 times 1 plus 2 is 10. Now, put your placeholder in there. I'm going to get rid of this junk because it's junk. 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 3 is 13. 5 times 1 is 5. Plus 1 is 6. Let's add these guys up. Easy peasy. Okay, now let's remember there are 2 places behind the decimal point. That means we start at the right, we move over 2 places to get our 7308. And over here you can see that it's written. So A equals 73 and 8 hundredths. it's written as centimeters squared. And remember, you could also do this. You could say, if I can spell here, square centimeters. Either way is fine. So those are the examples that we're going to use. So you need to go back and watch the videos and do what you got to do. And then this next one here is your homework. Notice that you have two things to find. You have to find the perimeter and you have to find the area. So I'm looking for two different answers here. Make sure that those are taken care of. Also, remember, all of your notes need to be filled in. All of them. And go back and make sure you understand what's going on. Good job.